think that's a really good reason to just stop for a second. I'm just going to move up a little bit closer here. There's a youngster. Isn't that beautiful? Hello, my boy. It's okay. Really nice just to sit, and this is one of my favourite experiences on the planet, is to be with elephants. And any of you that know me, I've had some encounters here that I'll never ever forget. Just the most beautiful, gentle encounters with elephant. Being in the presence of elephant is a very, very calming experience. And I talked yesterday a little bit about wanting us to go on a little bit of a historical journey with elephants, and we'll do it bit by bit. I'm just keeping my eye on this female here. I don't know, I can't recognise this female, and it has been a while since I've been here. To my right is looks like the matriarch of this small breeding herd. So I'm just going to keep my eyes on her. Everything seems nice and gentle and calm, and she will give us an indicator if she's not happy with us being here, and we'll just back away accordingly. But I think it's really nice to learn about as much about the history of elephant and the connection we have. This little youngster's giving us a little bit of a show and how tough he is. This connection we have with elephants has always fascinated me, why we are so connected with them and why we enjoy being around them. There's always that mystery of the largest land mammal on the planet. It's like being around whales, you know, when you're in the ocean, this massive mammal that fascinates us humans. But I always have had this philosophy that it's a real connection that we have. We've got so many similarities. Very, very long gestation period. For a mammal, we have quite a long gestation period as well. We nurture our young for long periods of time like they do. And we stay in family units. We stay in family units for very long periods of time. And I think that goes much deeper than that. You know, historically, thousands of years BC, elephants have been in our lives, in our worlds. And I mentioned yesterday Aristotle, you know, the famous historian who was really the true scientist, first scientist of elephants, and has wrote many a passage on what the connection we have with elephants are. And I also mentioned to everyone yesterday that was watching to go off and have a little bit of a research after you've finished watching Wild Safari Live, and read up some of the writings and some of the small passages, the more famous ones, about what he said about elephants. But there's loads of different things that he wrote and found these similar traits. But throughout history, of ancient history, these animals have been revered in all different ways, and it's carried on right up to present day. We look at them as we're with them, and there's a definite mystery about this incredible creature, that they allow us to be in their presence. They're quite capable of sorting us out, but they don't. If we read the behaviour and we just arrive in a very, very gentle manner, you can be in the presence of these animals for a very long time. Now what I'm going to do is just start up, just sit here for a bit, make sure that the female, this matriarch on my right, doesn't feel like I'm going to be driving in the middle of her herd. So I'm just going to drive up gently. Okay, my girl. There's a few more up here, so I'll just put us up in a little position here that it's always good to let the elephants just dictate the moves there. If they want to move away from us or past us, they've got the option to do that. And we just go nice and gently, great respect. A lovely light on good shot for you there, Andrew. I might move forward for you a little bit, mate. Yeah. That's really nice. It's beautiful light, and it's the cool of the day here as well. Just feeding on different vegetation. And it's a little bit like a smorgasbord, a little bit like a buffet for elephants. They'll walk through, and depending on what their needs are, they'll pick off whatever vegetation they desire and walk as they browse and graze. Let's move forward a little bit for you, Andrew. It's a nice youngster over here with just small tusks, but really beautiful. Nice light on them. I also find, folks, that when I'm in the presence of elephants, I have a tendency not to. You might think, yeah, sure, not to talk as much as I normally probably would, and I think the thing because of that is just nice to be in a really peaceful environment with them. To give you a little sort of touch of the senses this morning, we've talked about the temperature. It's about, it's starting to warm up a little bit, ever so slightly. There's a beautiful sweet smell, and I always talk about that sweet smell that grass has early in the morning, and it really does add to the atmosphere. Here they're just starting to move off. We'll stick with them for a little bit. Just want to make sure that female behind is okay. And once they get to know us a little bit, we might go a little bit closer. At the moment, the road that we're on just sort of goes around with them, so I'm not going to drive off-road at the moment for any reason. There's no need to. The Dyker there. You see him, Andrew? Just in there, mate. There's that log, that tree that's fallen over. Go straight in there where you are. Straight in, there's a little Dyker just in there hiding. Elephant's just flushed him out. There you go. You can just see his ears moving just there. Little grey Dyker. Dyker is spelled D-U-I-K-E-R. It's a small antelope that dives through the undergrowth in that manner and hides in those little thickets. And Dyker in Afrikaans means diver. That's exactly what they do. They dive through that vegetation. You can't really see him. You might see him if I start up the vehicle, but lovely little antelope. You normally just see them fleeting through the bush, but he's just dropped down again to hide. I'm going to stick with these ellies for a bit. Just going to move around. There's a nice individual here. And you start to see there's a couple of birds flying around with the elephants. Flying around with the elephants. Flying around as the elephants are browsing and grazing. Can you get in there, Andrew? I don't know if you can. I'll just come in here, and we'll just let this individual just make the moves and dictate what she wants to do. Now, those birds that I was talking about, you'll see a lot of these little black birds. We'll try and get a focus on one soon as well, and I'll show you on my phone. There you go. Well done, mate. Excellent. Fork-tailed drongo. Really beautiful little bird. You know, quite a common resident. I just find them fascinating little bird. They what they're doing right now is, as the elephant walks through the bush and brushes up against trees or picks up vegetation, that bird will be benefiting from that and eating any insects that fly off and just keep following those elephants. And it really is a great little benefit to the fork-tailed drongo. Just going to drive forward a little bit. I really do see those little drongos going along with them. So I don't want to startle this little one here because he's got his trunk up. He's just wondering where his team are. He's lost sight of his he's lost sight of his family there, and now he's found them again. There's another little road around the other side there. I'm just going to drive around on that, see if I can, because I think what they're going to do is go down across this little valley. I can see them on the move, so if you stick with us, I'll go across. There's a road that goes down to an old hyena den that I remember. There's loads of elephant here. This is lovely. This is a really lovely breeding herd. So we might just plonk ourselves right in the middle of these guys and just see how long we can stick with them. The reason why I'm going to go around, folks, is because there's a lot of little sort of running depressions of erosion down through here. A lot of water comes off here and goes down into this little valley here. So it's a bit tricky to get across in the vehicle without bashing around. There's a little road that goes off down here. If I can, I can probably just go in here. Now here's that smell. I had a lovely question yesterday. I might just go in here and just plonk ourselves down in here. I had a lovely question yesterday about what's the smell of elephants from one of you wonderful viewers, and I do apologise for not remembering the person's name, but it was a great question because I had to really think about how to describe it. Lovely, lovely breeding herd here, everyone. Folks, this is magic stuff. Look at the light on that beautiful mama. So, okay, my girl. We're just coming over to say a little hello. How's that for you, Andrew? 3/4 light on there. Fantastic. And I now have the information that I need, and I just couldn't remember. My memory's going on me, folks. I'm getting old. It was Kari in Costa Rica yesterday asked a beautiful question about what elephants do smell like. What's their scent? And it really did make me try and come up with some description of what they do, because it's a very unusual smell. It's a smell all of its own. But I sort of explained it as a cross between that beautiful smell of horses, and I'm not talking about the dung, I'm talking about the actual scent of the animal. And then I sort of said, if you can imagine that with like a really nice sort of cattle smell, but then you get some herbs or some sort of run your hand through a herb garden and mix all that together in your head, and you get this really beautiful musty smell of elephant. And I just got a waft of that as we were coming up to these individuals here. Now, that's a beautiful sight to see that youngster. And there's what I was talking about before. Just in front of that adult female there, you'll see that little fork-tailed drongo. See him just sitting there on the left of the screen, waiting for a little insect to fly off. Really lovely to see animals interacting and benefiting from one another. And that's why, when somebody says to you, oh, how does it all fit together? How does this ecosystem and these habitats fit together? Every single thing that we're looking at right in front of us, elephant, grass, plants, bird, it all is connected. So I wanted to give you a little bit more about the senses. So we did the temperature and the smell of the grass and everything, and a waft of that elephant scent as well. And just to tell you a little bit about the sound at the moment, all we've got really is a couple of different bird species in the background being noisy, a couple of starlings and yeah, loads of different birds in the background. And then we've got this sort of gentle sort of sound of the elephants gardening, really. They're just ripping up bits of grass and taking bits of foliage off trees. It's a very, very peaceful setting, folks, and I'm so glad to have you on board. If you do have any questions, please, you can tweet us at hashtag Safari Live if you're tweeting us, and questions at wildearth.tv if you want to email us, and we'd be more than happy to answer them. And as I always say, if I don't know the answer to the question, I'll look it up for you, I'll find out about it for you and come back to you. I had a question yesterday about, a really good one, about why hyenas have a tendency to be always laying on the road. I'm yet to ask a couple of the other guides about it and see what their thoughts are, but we'll come back to you on that one. It won't be necessarily a definitive answer, because I think everyone will have their own opinion on it, but it'll be an answer nonetheless. And yeah, honestly, we look at these things and we learn so much when we're out here from you as well, which is really important. You're a big part of this. If it wasn't for you watching, we wouldn't be here. So if you've got those questions, shoot them through. We'd be love to hear from you. And everyone, welcome aboard this morning on this beautiful, beautiful morning on Juma and Arathusa Game Reserves in Sabi Sands. It's beautiful, beautiful, Andrew, hey?
It's wonderful.
Just magic, mate.
And it's starting to warm up, so it's getting even better.
Welcome aboard, Chula. Lovely to have you with us. Chula's just sent us a tweet and wants to know if elephants sleep like horses. Chula, the sleeping habits of elephants vary. I've seen elephants in areas of Zimbabwe, for example, that aren't as comfortable as these elephants are with us here. Not behaving like other elephants in other places. And what I'm trying to say there is they might not be as comfortable or conditioned or habituated. When I've worked in areas like this and I've seen elephants that are very comfortable, you find elephants lying down sometimes, even to sleep, when they're comfortable in a nice breeding herd where they've got lots of support. So sometimes there'll be a standing up period of sleep, but they also will lie down when the things are comfortable enough for them, and they feel secure. But you do find the youngsters definitely lie down and have very, very lovely nap times together, with the females standing guard. I remember last November when we were here over in an area called Quarantine, on just probably about a kilometre from where we are now. I saw an afternoon nap of all the babies of about 6 youngsters lying down in the cool in the shade on some sand, and all the mothers standing around them in a circle. It's one of the most beautiful things to see, and just one of those connections again. It was like mums. It was mums, human mums, that will gather, and their youngsters are asleep, and they're all just socialising, and I think it's a really, really great thing. You draw these analogies all the time, and I don't know, maybe I'm just being a little bit anthropomorphic there, but there's something definitely being in the presence of these animals. I'm not going to drive down any further. I don't think we need to. They're static at the moment. They're just sort of milling around that little point on the grassy area there. We'll just sit with them because that female's got quite a young animal with a young calf, and the other one has as well. Just to drive down there just to get an extra 10 metres closer would probably make them feel a little bit uncomfortable. And we've got nice pictures here, so let's just be. But Chula, just to answer your question, there's all different habits, but they do a variation of sleep, bit of standing up, youngsters a little bit more lying down, depending on where they are. Welcome aboard, David. In Chicago, one of my favourite cities in the world. Mate, what a beautiful place you live. I've spent a lot of time in Chicago, and I've been there when it's been very, very chilly, and I've been there when it's been beautiful and hot as well. So I do love your city. A great question, David, and it's can African elephants be domesticated like Asiatic elephants? Well, it hasn't been done as probably as long as Asiatic elephants have done, been domesticated. Thousands of years ago, African elephants were utilised for many, many different things, because elephants used to occur right the way up to the Mediterranean, and before the Great Sahara took hold of that part of North Africa. It was lush. There was forests and tropical areas there that elephants used to thrive in, and then after the Sahara started to take hold, elephants ended up being pushed out of that area, and the elephant they tried to many times, but it wasn't as successful as their Asian cousins. And then word got across that area of Asia that the Asiatic elephant was being domesticated and utilised, particularly in a war situation. And there's lots of historical accounts of different armies using and different battles where elephants were used, and to really shock the opponents in battle. And there's loads and loads of horrific sort of stories have happened, and accounts of that. But back to your question, and there was method to what I was saying there. The Asiatic elephant was carried on being domesticated, where the African elephant wasn't so much. And there's many a camp in Africa, many a zoo for that matter, that has works their African elephants. You can talk to elephant keepers, and there's a word you may have heard or may not have, but I'll let you know what the word is anyway. The name is a mahout, and it's an Asian word, Mahoot, I think, and I think there's a variation on that as well, Mahut, and it's an Asian word for elephant minder or trainer, or the person that manages the elephant. And mahouts will probably tell you that Asiatic elephants are more manageable, one could say, for want of a better word, more easier to condition, but at the same time a force to be reckoned with. It has just never been one of those things that's happened with the African elephant historically. And as I said, if you look back in time, you can see how those battles occurred, and how the fragmentation of the utilization of African versus Asian elephants in the sort of 300s BC type of time of history. And there's great ways you can go and look up further things on the internet or in books after you've watched Safari Live, David. Don't want to send you off looking now, but it's really worthwhile. Very interesting information about the Asian elephant and the African elephant and how they were trained. I've worked with Asiatic elephants, and I've still got a great couple of mates in Australia that work with Asiatic elephants a lot, and it's definitely a very, very complex lifestyle being an elephant handler, but something very rewarding as well. And I have a tendency these days just to like doing what I'm doing. Reme's in California, and Reme's asked a really, really great question. Do elephants react differently in Kruger Park proper as opposed to Greater Kruger where we are? And yeah, I'll just sort of give a little bit of the backstory there. Remy, what happened is once the fences between Sabi Sands, the western edge of Sabi Sands, and the Kruger National Park were removed, the elephants had a lot more access to land. There's an area you may be able to find a map as well, which will show you the northern and the southern corridors, and that's the areas that elephants use to come in and out of Sabi Sands. Now, there's historical events, and I really want to bring this thread through our storyline of talking about elephants over the next 10 days. And, you know, it's just things that I've read, Remy, and everyone listening, and things that I've sort of studied and my fascination with elephants. But in 1966, I was one, by the way. But anyway, we'll move on. A fantastic man, an incredible scientist, probably one of the godfathers of elephant conservation, Ian Douglas Hamilton in Kenya, started his first studies up there in Manyara, Lake Manyara National Park, very small national park compared to others. And they had to try and find out why the vegetation was being so badly affected, and so he did endless studies of the population of elephants there, and he spent, you know, years and years with individuals, getting to know them very, very well, and there's loads and loads of accounts that you can read of that. So I've had the privilege of meeting him once before, and so a famous man with a famous family and a wonderful wife and daughter, and that elephants are a huge part of their life and always will be. And he found that when he was out there and studying, and the elephants weren't being persecuted as they are in this day and age, there was these connections. You could actually build these bonds with elephants after what the word I like to use is habituation, which is basically a conditioning tool that you can do. You get slowly closer to the animal, get to let them get to know you a bit more. And of course, there's going to be occasions where you'll have a temperamental individual that will show you that their strength and their power, and you've got to make sure that you can get out of that, because you'll only do it once. And he went away and moved into other areas of Africa, of Kenya, that he was working, and he basically came back to Manyara after there was a load of a big poaching onslaught for years and years. And I do remember reading some things, and these might be slightly inaccurate, but it's just me recollecting them, that he said he was approaching elephants that he used to be able to walk up to, and as soon as they heard a vehicle, gone. And this is only like 5, maybe 10 years after he'd studied them for 15 years or something and been with them. So what my point of that conversation, to answer your question, Remy, was that in California, is elephants do remember hugely about what's affected them and the encounters they've had, and that'll be either passed on to their offspring if they had a bad encounter, and it could be a vehicle, it could be seeing a particular person or a particular group of people that might scare them a lot. And it's a very, very sad sort of state of affairs, but at the same time, it depends in Kruger what's happened. If those animals have come further and they've had a bad altercation once in their life, and remembering these animals can get up to 60, 65 years old, in that 65 years, if they've had some bad situations occur with humans or something else, they may react like that to us, or they may react like that to other people. So there's no real sort of... So it was a very long-winded answer. I do apologise, but the reason I went on like that was because every animal and every individual has had different encounters. Some animals will tolerate a vehicle much more than others. This herd, for example, which we're going to just catch up on now, seem to be very, very relaxed with us. And I'm going to just go and see where they are. And so see if we can stick with them. So I've contradicted myself completely, because I said when we first arrived, I like to just be with elephants a little bit, not talk too much. I haven't really stopped for breath in the last 15 minutes. But I do get very, very excited about being in the presence of the elephant. They are probably one of my favourite animals on the planet, and I head back up onto this little road that I talked about. See if we can cut down. Oh, it's right here anyway. I might try and go up a little bit ahead of them, and if I can go up ahead of them, let's see. Actually, we might go down the road and then just sit on their tail for a bit. They seem really, really relaxed with us, folks. So this is the lovely thing. Once an animal gets to know you, or a herd gets to know you, that you're not a threat, you can just sit on the tail of the herd and hopefully be a little bit, I don't know, like to imagine ourselves as maybe one of the members for a little bit. It's all right, my girl. It's okay, my girl. There's a load of elephant here. I'll just try and focus up on her again and just see what she's doing, her youngster. I don't want to startle her by getting too close in there, but I can move in a little bit closer. Just let me come around. I don't want her little youngster to get frightened. That's the most important thing. So if he's comfortable, then everyone's comfortable. Sitting with elephants as well, it's always good to, you've got to have your wits about you. You've got to look around you and make sure you don't actually cut off members of the family and get between either matriarch or a youngster that's just been grazing or browsing, and you get in between his mum and him, and he's not going to be happy about that. She's not going to be happy about that. I'm just going to drive around, folks, because I just saw a little bit of erosion channel there. I'm just going to go around the other side, folks. Whilst I'm doing that, let's cross over to see what Pete's up to, because these animals are not moving very fast, and I can position myself over there. We'll come back